Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. Venturing a bit off topic here today, but I wanted to say a few things about the new YouTube Red original series, Cobra Kai. There won't be any spoilers in this video beyond the most basic aspects of the story, those that were revealed in the trailers. Any spoilers in this video would be limited to the Karate Kid movies, chief among them, the original Karate Kid film from 1984.
You couldn't leave well enough alone. Could you, little twerp? No, you had to push it. Well, now you're gonna pay.
The first time I watched Karate Kid, I think I was 9 years old, and it would have been around a year or so after its theatrical release when it came out on VHS. The overall themes of bullying, trying to fit in, and learning how to deal with confrontation and overcome adversity, these are things that every individual can relate to, and they're especially relevant in the formative years of our youth. So as a 9-year-old kid, I, like millions of other kids, I absolutely loved the movie, and I was easily able to identify with the plight of poor Daniel LaRusso. It was a simple story that was easy to understand. The lines were very clearly defined. You had a bully and you had a victim. And beneath that surface, you had two mentors, both polar opposites, and in the end, both the bully and the victim ultimately acted as reflections of their teachers. Mr. Miyagi himself stressed that fact that there is no such thing as a bad student, only a bad teacher. So the Cobra Kai mantra, under the guidance of Sensei John Kreese, is strike first, strike hard, no mercy. If a man confronts you, he is the enemy, and an enemy deserves no mercy. On the other hand, Mr. Miyagi exudes his wisdom in a way that embraces the ideals of honor and self-defense with a strong emphasis on balance. The Karate Kid was structured using a vintage 80s formula, but it was executed in such a way that it worked extremely well and it stood out. There was a reason people loved it, and there is a reason people continue loving it today. Some of it was a little cheesy, some of it was very predictable, and some of it was outright ridiculous. But they made it work, and one of the main reasons it worked so well was the superb dynamic between actors Pat Morita and Ralph Macchio. Their on-screen chemistry brought these characters to life, and this was ultimately the driving force behind the film. And that's one of the reasons I wasn't expecting much when I first heard about Cobra Kai. I figured I'd wind up watching it, but I had a really hard time believing it could possibly be any good without the Miyagi character. But I was wrong. I thought Cobra Kai was actually pretty terrific. All of the basic elements from the original Karate Kid are present in Cobra Kai. Bullying, trying to fit in, and trying to find balance in one's life. Cobra Kai succeeds in effectively incorporating all of these themes into the new series. But the big difference here is that they do so in a way that manages to really blur the lines. In the Karate Kid, the lines were all very clearly defined. Mr. Miyagi was the good teacher. John Kreese was the bad teacher. Johnny was the bully, and Daniel was the target. It was all crystal clear. But in Cobra Kai, these lines are not clearly defined at all. And that's a big part of the appeal with Cobra Kai. Just like the Karate Kid, Cobra Kai is a straightforward story that is simple to follow and easy to understand. But the way in which Cobra Kai cleverly blurred the lines between good and bad was quite profound. Like the original, some of Cobra Kai is a little cheesy. Some of it is very predictable. And some of it is outright ridiculous. But that's part of what makes the original Karate Kid an 80s classic in the first place. Cobra Kai embraced the best of these elements. But there are a lot of unpredictable reveals that make this journey worth the ride. It's the unpredictable aspects of the story that really give it life. The creators of Cobra Kai clearly understood what made the original so appealing for so many. And they even paid tribute to some of the better elements from parts 2 and 3 that were enjoyable. Cobra Kai doesn't take itself too seriously. and it can reasonably be viewed as a comedy. Some of it is extremely funny, and not in the unintentional funny ways that Part 3 was funny, which incidentally, I still love the fact that Kreese and the ponytail dude, that they conspired to get bitter revenge on a 17-year-old, all because he won a karate tournament. Cobra Kai also makes a fitting tribute to the 1980s style. Think Stranger Things in this regard. And the character of Johnny Lawrence himself is like a relic straight out of the 80s. When we last saw Johnny, he was getting his ass kicked by his own sensei for finishing second place. And that was really the only time that you could feel sympathetic towards this character. Except maybe for the scene when LaRusso messed around with him when Johnny was rolling a number. But in the original, Johnny was the bully, and we didn't really know a whole lot about him beyond that. In Cobra Kai, we learn a great deal about John Lawrence and the life he's lived since losing to LaRusso some 30-something years ago. And that's the driving force behind this series. Johnny. Lawrence's ongoing rivalry with LaRusso, which last culminated at their tournament match, has now been unexpectedly rekindled. Johnny is out on his luck. Daniel is a successful businessman. And this reversal of fortunes can all be traced back to the events of the original film. And now that Johnny is reopening Cobra Kai all these years later, the paths of Lawrence and LaRusso are once again deeply intertwined. Solid performances from William Zabka and Ralph Macchio, and some pretty good performances from some of the other newer cast members as well. And even though Pat Morita is no longer alive, the series still serves as a tribute both to the original movie and also the essence of Miyagi's wisdom. And for what Cobra Kai is, I don't think the creators could have possibly done a better job than they did. It was quality entertainment that was cleverly executed. In closing, if you like The Karate Kid, definitely check out Cobra Kai. It's certainly worth getting YouTube Red just to give it a look, especially since they have a 1-month free trial. Thanks for watching, everyone, and have a wonderful night.